It's birth story time. I love a good birth story. In fact, my favorite movie as a child was my older brother's birth, which is kind of weird. Actually, my mom's best friend was murdered, and the History Channel was doing a special on her and asked my mom if she had any footage of her friend who was murdered.
Bobby was a very confident appearing person.
And the video that had the footage was my mom's birth video of my older brother, and so then I lost my favorite movie when she surrendered it to the History Channel, and now the History Channel has video of my mom's. Weird, right?
Paducah, the cultural mecca of Western Kentucky.
I mean, that's just hanging out somewhere. Used to watch that movie all the time, kind of awkward, but also beautiful. I love birth. So, here's my birth story. Well, first let me tell you my other birth stories. I had 2 hospital births, and there's no shame in that. I actually, 1 year ago, if you had asked me about a home birth, I would have said, I think it's an unnecessary risk. But now, I kind of look at the hospital system and I'm like, I think it's an unnecessary risk. Oh, did I just say that? Oops! But sometimes it's not. Like with my boys, I had pretty standard births. Here's the thing. I thought there was something wrong with me because my water broke with both of them and nothing happened. No contractions, didn't matter what I did, nothing. But it turns out the medical system was playing me, man. They were sweeping my membranes. I didn't even know that there was a chance of rupturing my waters doing that. And then it caused premature rupture, and they weren't ready to come out, so they weren't going to come naturally. So then I was induced with Pitocin, and there was like a horrible birth. Like, have you had Pitocin pain? It's intense, okay? I can tell you right now that labor without Pitocin isn't as hard. Sorry, it's true. So, my first birth, I had an epidural. I could see the cascade of interventions happening. My second birth, I had Pitocin, but no epidural. So I was like, okay, I can handle it. Like, I know I can survive the pain. And then I decided to go for a home birth. Even though at first I was like, I'm not doing a home birth. I'm too scared to do that. That's crazy. But the hospital system wasn't answering my pleas for help. Like, I wanted answers to why my water breaks and then nothing happens. And then I had to do my own research and nobody was giving me answers. And so I decided to go talk to a home birth midwife, and I was like, I'm just going to talk to her. There's no way I'm going to do this. And then I talked to her and I was like, whoa, I'm sold. I'm all in. Let's do this. So her birth, her actual birth, if you were following along in my stories, then you saw that I was doing everything. The mile circuit, curb walking, which is part of the mile circuit. But I was doing ball bouncing and just, you know, the thing that you do with your husband. And other things. That was horrible. That was the worst. The stimulation for an hour, nothing was working. Finally, I decided, this is highly controversial, but on page 250 of Ina May's Guide to Childbirth, castor oil. Indigenous people all over the globe have been using castor oil to induce labor for centuries, yada yada. There's something about a study. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do the castor oil thing. So, because I was nearing 42 weeks, I know you're going to be like, well, she wasn't ready because she didn't come. But I was also nervous about my previous births. Okay, there's so many things that come into play. So castor oil is controversial, but I took castor oil. The first time I puked it all up. That was miserable. But then I took it again, and it worked. And I started having contractions, like real weak contractions. And I didn't know what real contractions felt like. But I started having contractions at like 6 p.m., just like light ones where I could talk through them and it wasn't really anything. But I thought maybe I just have such a high pain tolerance that this is it. It was not it. Things started progressing to more like intense labor at about 10:30. And we were just hanging out in the living room and I just sat there. And the one thing I've learned about birth, I've learned a lot of things about birth, but the one thing that I think is the most important is you just have to surrender. Relax your body and surrender. And so that's all I thought the whole time was, I'm just going to relax. Anytime I feel a contraction, I'm just going to relax my entire body. And I did it. And then towards the end, I didn't moo, though I had been practicing my mooing. I hummed. It kind of helped me keep my jaw loose, and I just relaxed. If you saw the video of me and the chair, those shots, that was as intense as it got, because I just relaxed, just let it go. So for 2.5 hours I did that. That's not very long at all. Didn't even have time to get into my primal self that people talk about. It was just like, I'm just hanging out, chatting. It was kind of fun. She was ready to come, and she made her appearance. I did not even push. Seriously, just let my body do the work. My abdomen was like, kuh. Jason said it was so cool and crazy to watch. And so then her head was born, and my midwife was like, you can push if you want. And I was like, I don't. And I just let her body be born with the next contraction. And it was so peaceful and amazing and like the smoothest birth ever. And then I did push out my placenta, and it was way smaller than I expected. But that was my birth story, and it was amazing and so wonderful, and I highly recommend a home birth if you are not at risk, or, I don't know, you do your own research. You gotta advocate for yourself. I am a little mad at the hospital system because of the way my other births went, and I feel like if we had just been a little more hands-off, no cervical checks, no membrane sweeping, and all that kind of stuff, things would have played out differently. There truly is a cascade of interventions. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And look at her perfectly little round head. It was so, just like, pop. If your birth story didn't turn out quite like mine, there's no shame in that. I hope that you are able to make peace with whatever happened. I have had an array of birth experiences, and it's all okay. You know, that doesn't define you. That doesn't define your baby. And so I want to say it's okay. And I hope that you're able to make peace about however it played out, because I know that that can be very traumatic, and I want to be sensitive to that. And I'm sorry if it didn't go how you were expecting. And I know that a lot of home births don't go as people were expecting. But I am very grateful, and I feel very blessed that mine did. I'd be interested to hear some of your birth stories in the comments. Tell us, how'd it go? Did it work out? Was it good? Was it not so good? What do you think happened? I don't know. I am very grateful. I also feel like I have to say this. I am very grateful for the medical system at times. Jason has polycystic kidney disease, and one day we will need someone to provide a surgical transplant, possibly. And gonna go to the hospital for that one. So, yep.
Maybe I'll get a robot one.
Gotta get a robot?
A robot kidney.
As far-fetched as it may sound, the sweaty little river town of Paducah, Kentucky, is the epicenter of an entire culture. It's true.